this is Osteo Knits. This is episode 2, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone who has watched episode 1, who's subscribed, who's added me on Instagram, any of that. I'm absolutely blown away by the response of the first episode. I honestly thought when I had posted that video that it would kind of disappear into the ether of the internet, and maybe, you know, the 4 people who had encouraged me to record it would watch it. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining me for the chaos. The chaos continues, so let's get into it. As I said in episode 1, my approach in my month-to-month crafting has been to pick 3 projects. I'm kind of cheating. I've got a 4th one. 3 projects to focus on every month. 1 being a whip, 1 being a new cast on, and 1 being a scrappy project. I've also decided that with my made-up rules, which I can change at any point, sample knits don't count. So that's how I'm bending the rules to include a 4th one. So this month my focus has been on my moon phase socks, so those were my whips, my literary shawl, so that was my new cast on, my scrappy project was my continued book shawl, and I have the Venlo tee that I'm knitting as a sample. So I have only finished 1 of those, that being my moon phase socks. So we have 2 of them now. Hooray! This was a pattern by Northwoods Knits Co. The yarn I used is the Leo and Roxy sock set from a couple of years ago, the main color being Batshit Crazy. The red is Vixen. This steely blue is McSteamy. So I have 2 socks. They're very fun. I am looking forward to actually wearing these now that I have a matching pair. It was a fun way to use up a sock set. I don't know why. I tend to be a little precious with my sock sets, and I don't use them very often. I'm really going to have to. Nice way to do some color work, have some fun with contrasting heels and toes. But yes, that's done. Not one of my focus projects, but I think this counts as an FO. I finished my very first hand-spun yarn. So this is spindled, so I used a drop spindle to make it. We're not really getting the red here. There we go. Okay. So I did 1 ply all in black. The 2nd ply I striped some burgundy. It's not coming up really well, but there's the burgundy there. Purple and green, so it's kind of a marled effect with the black, and when I knit it up it should stripe. There's a bit of variation in the weight. I think it kind of ranges between maybe a DK to sort of a chunky, is probably hitting in the middle or averaging at a worsted. But for my first attempt, my very first yarn baby, I am so pleased with how it went, and definitely bitten by the spinning bug. I have, there we go, more yarn that I'm spindling right now, a really nice merino silk blend that I'm managing to get quite fine. I'm going to apply it on itself, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the finished project. I'm nearly done with that one. Okay, so other things I was working on. There's only one that I can show, unfortunately. So my book shawl, I've managed to put in another 4 rows on it. So this is where we're standing now. Yeah, lots of ends. Using up more yarn, so I had to use a different orange one because I used up the first one. But I'm partially through a 5th row here. So I have, say, 1.5 orange rows, 3 blue, and then the border. So happy with the progress I've managed to do this month. This will be carrying over into March, and eventually, hopefully soon, I will finish it up. The other 2 things I've been working on, as I mentioned, the literary shawl, which I'm testing for Sundaughter Knits. I can't show it just yet because it's made using the tonal colors for the upcoming Frosted Stitch Grunge collection. But I should be done within the next few weeks. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it, and next month I'll be able to show its full glory. The other thing I'm working on, the Venlo tank, which is a sample again for the Frosted Stitch using her Grunge colors. I've finished the front panel. So the way the Venlo is constructed, there's a front panel, a back panel, and then 2 side panels that are done in tuck stitch, and that's all sewn up together. So I've done the whole front panel, started the back, haven't started the side panels yet, but pretty good progress on that, and unfortunately I can't show it just yet. Oh, one thing I failed to mention, I am wearing a hand knit right now. This is my Mira sweater, which I test knit for Yarn Me Up. As you can see, it's got these purposely done drop stitch columns. We've got this in the front and on the back, as well as on the sleeves. It's a really nice fitted garment. Johanna from Yarn Me Up has a background in costume design, and it really shows in her garment construction. Everything is so thoughtful, so well tailored, and it leads to a beautifully fitting piece in the end. I absolutely love this one. I knit it using Knit Picks Hawthorne tonals in Hood River, which is kind of this red with a little bit of purple in there. All of my favorite things. It's a sister design to, she's got the Mica tee that's a short sleeve version of this. Yes. Okay, so those were my whips. For the month of March, the literary shawl is going to be my whip. I'm going to continue working on the Venlo. Also going to continue working on my book shawl. So, not too much new and exciting, but my new cast on will be a hat, the Osteo hat by Sierra Morningstar. And I'll be using some leftover yarn from a shawl I knit a couple of years ago with yarn from Altered Skeins. The brim will be done using this nice soft little purple, and I'll do the rest of the hat in this variegated yarn. The pattern involves slip stitches, so I thought that this would be a really good way to showcase the colors in the variegated without it getting too busy. I'm also purposely choosing patterns for each of the sabots of the wheel. So I did the in bulk socks in January, and I'll be doing the Osteo hat for March. So I think these will be really nice and bright, good spring colors. So that's pretty much it about actual plans and ongoing things. It's going to be a little bit acquisition heavy. Yeah, it's been a month. First of all, gotta talk about Frosted Stitch. So I'm subscribed to her monthly Mr. Stitch Club, which is showcasing different types of flowers. So the February colorway is this. It is Mardi Gras Kangaroo Paw. And this really lovely, almost watercolor, purple, blue, green. Probably goes quite well with the previous color, which is kind of a bright blue. Very pretty. I have no idea what I'm going to make with it, but great colors. I also received my Spooky Yarn Club from Floof Fiber. So this month's theme was haunting. And this is what Lucy came up with some really subtle little bits of purple in there. I got the DK base this time. I usually get the sock base, but did something a little different. It'll be kind of a nice speckled neutral. I think it would be really cool with maybe some purple and a shawl. I don't know. Anyways, love it. Also, I took a little trip during reading week to this craft store in Sturgeon Falls called Buttons. I went specifically to buy needles and ended up buying the wrong size. Yeah, I remembered that it was a size 3. I was supposed to buy 3mm. Instead I bought US 3. Such is my life. But this was my first visit to Buttons. Really cute little shop, great yarn selection, super friendly people there. And I picked up a couple of other things. One I could not resist, a Briggs & Little mug. I actually went to the wool mill in New Brunswick. Like it's in, I think the town itself is called Harvey Station. Bought a shit ton of yarn there. But now I have a mug. And as you can see, I've got a little mug rack in my office here. So it's going to live here. It's great for when other people want to have coffee in my office. Also picked up some yarn while I was there. I got this giant yarn cake, and you can see, you can see the glitter in here. So it's a gradient yarn cake from Zen Garden, or Zen Yarn Garden, which I believe is closing their doors. So I imagine there won't be much of this floating around. So it is 90% superwash merino with 10% stellina. It is a sock weight. The colorway is called Jovial, and it's about the equivalent of 1.5 regular balls of sock yarn. So it should make for a great shawl or something like that. Also, I picked up this yarn, which is from Celtic Raven Fibers. The color is Milky Way. And these, the dyes are, at least the label says they're from Nova Scotia. When I looked into their social media, it looks like they've possibly relocated to Saskatchewan. But either way, Canadian dyer I hadn't seen before. I had to pick it up. So that is essentially it for the yarny content. Beyond that, things have been fairly chaotic. Like I mentioned, last week was reading week. I'm a university professor. Reading week doesn't necessarily mean that we're off. Actually, we had a bunch of meetings scheduled. I was on an appeals committee. I've got a couple of thesis and grad students that have work that needs to be done, but we're going through some interesting circumstances. Right now we have no internet, no network connectivity. That's been going on for almost 2 weeks. And as you can imagine, in this day and age, that's greatly hindered our ability to do things. So it's almost like the opposite of how we had to shift things with the pandemic lockdowns, where now we're having to go more kind of low tech. So it's been interesting. Hopefully this will all be resolved soon and quickly. It's been pretty stressful for everyone involved. I'm very sympathetic for the students, and yeah, it'll be nice to get things back to normal. It's been a strange year, right? February almost kind of flew away, while January feels like it was a whole year in itself. I really hope March kind of stabilizes. I'm trying to bring like as much of the spring vibes as I can. I've got my calla lilies that I just brought in my office. I'm freshening up. I've got a bit of an altar in the corner of my office that just kind of makes me smile when I walk in at work every day. Yeah, it's Canada. Winter stays for as long as it possibly can. We had a fresh dumping of snow yesterday. Yeah. So, despite the fact that things were mostly unfinished this month, I expect to have a lot more finished objects next month. Next month, I finally get to reveal the grunge colorways. If this sounds like this would be up your alley, definitely check out the Frosted Stitch. It's good. It's really good. Coming from somebody who doesn't tend to like bright colors, so take that as you will. But yes, next month, end of March, I'll be able to show my literary shawl in its full glory. I don't expect I'll necessarily be done the Venlo tank, but I should have a lot of it done. I should be able to finish that Osteo hat, and we'll see where we are on the book shawl. In terms of reading, I finished Denison Avenue. Really, really enjoyed that book. Again, it's a Canada Reads finalist. And I've moved on to the fourth of the finalists. This book was originally written in French. The book that they have listed is the English translation, so it's called The Future. In French, it's L'Avenir, and it's written by Catherine Leroux. Because I'm a French speaker, I am reading it in French. It also meant that I was able to skip the queue a little bit from the library and get it quicker. It's really interesting. So French is my first language, but all of my post-secondary education has been in English. I've been teaching and working predominantly in English, and most of my media consumption is in English as well. So it's nice to be able to read in French, but I find I'm not as quick at it as I am in English, probably just because of the lack of practice. But it's nice to kind of dust off those wheels and do it. So I'm enjoying the book. It was a bit of a slow start, dealing with an elderly woman who's gone back to where her daughter was living. Her daughter had been found dead in her home, and the daughter's 2 children were missing. So she's tidying up the house that her daughter was living in and trying to find her granddaughters. So yeah, interesting story. It seems pretty bleak. Hopefully things will take a turn for the positive, but it's an interesting exercise, and I really need to try to consume more media in French and at least try to read in French more regularly. It's probably something I need to make a point of doing. I think probably because I see all these book recommendations in English and I prefer to read things in the original language, that I'm not necessarily driven to pick up books in French because I've not heard of them. Beyond Canada Reads, occasionally there's a book on Canada Reads that was originally written in English. So, I'm still spinning, as I mentioned. I am really considering the spinning wheel now. What I'm telling myself is that I will purchase one once this term is over. I originally had my eyes on a Lendrum double treadle, but now I see that they are not going to be in production anymore. So if anybody has recommendations for a spinning wheel that has relatively little real estate, it doesn't take up a lot of space, I would be happy to see any recommendations. Something that's pretty beginner friendly as well would be much appreciated. Right now I've received recommendations of an Ashford Kiwi or an Ashford Joy. So maybe if you've had experience with both of these, I'd love to see which you prefer and why. Yeah, I have a feeling that I'm gonna go hard for the spinning. So yeah, which has probably taken some of my knitting time as well, beyond the fact that I've got some large projects on the go right now. But it's been very fun. Again, I'm enjoying the tactile aspect of it, and I'm moving to the point where I'm better at spindling. I no longer need to park and draft as much. Oh, I actually have some of the fiber that I'm spinning right now. Students did hair and fiber in lab. I teach forensic science, so they did hair and fiber analysis in lab on Tuesday, so I brought some of my yarn scraps and some fiber scraps so they could test out analyzing unknowns. This is the fiber that I'm spindling right now. It's a merino silk blend. It's beautiful. I'm having a ball spinning it right now. It's just an absolute dream. Very different from the 100% merino that I did. A lot more fragile, but I'm really enjoying working with it. Like, I almost want to buy this fiber in every color available. Yeah. Well, I think that's all I have. Thank you again for watching, for listening. I'm going to try to do this more regularly. I'm definitely encouraged by the fact that people are interested in what I have to share. Even if it wasn't that much this month, there should be more next month. And I will see you then. Bye.